relationship with God, oh my goodness. I just don't know how I would have gotten through this challenging season without God. Like, people booked hotels, they're ready to fly in for this grand wedding, and then there's no wedding. Hello everyone, welcome back to Brianna Thizard's Journey. Welcome to another episode. Happy Sunday. Okay, let's get into it. So today we are going to talk about the most challenging season, the darkest place in my life for sure. And so the reason why I want to talk about this is because, of course, the YouTube channel is called Brianna Thizard's Journey, and really just wanting to take you through the journey of my life, the lessons that I've learned, where I'm headed. And in order for me to tell you where I am today, I have to tell you about the past and what brought me to this place. So today we're going to talk about the darkest season in my life, how I overcame it, and just what my perspective is going to be for moving forward. So I definitely want to say, just before I get into it, this is, of course, my first YouTube experience. So, of course, as time progresses, the videos are definitely going to get better. It's so interesting because when you have this idea of doing YouTube, you have an idea of how it's going to go, but then when you actually sit down and film, you're like, oh my God, there's some things that I missed, or am I talking too quickly? Like, it's an adjustment. So thank you for watching the video, and over time, they're definitely going to get better. So definitely just going to talk about the toughest season of my life. So first of all, I'm like, where do I even begin? I would say one thing that I definitely learned is every single thing happens for a reason. There's never anything that happens that's in vain. And so the woman that I am today, the things that I'm doing currently in my life, the lessons that I've learned, I know that in order to be who I am today, that those things had to have happened. Just to give you kind of like a background of me and my life, I would say for the most part, there's a lot of people who talk about, childhood trauma and things that they faced when they were younger. For me, I would say I don't really feel like I had childhood trauma. I come from a really great home, great mom, great dad. Doesn't mean that life is perfect, but I didn't feel like I had much of a struggle growing up. All of my needs were met. All of my wants were met, had a great family, both parents, had siblings, it just was a very loving environment. So I really feel like there was, of course, challenges in my life, but it wasn't because of home life. It was more so maybe friends, maybe guys, maybe, body image issues, but it was never really from home, if that makes sense. So I feel like in a sense, I don't want to say blinded from the real world, but I feel like because my home was so positive, I had such positive experiences, and not only was it like that at home, the community that I lived in, pretty much everyone else had similar experiences. So of course, you never know what's going on behind closed doors. Sometimes people don't tell you everything, but for the most part, all of my friends grew up in 2-parent households. Their needs and wants were met, went to great schools, went on vacations. Like, everyone had a similar type of lifestyle. So that was just the norm. So now I would say in the season that I'm going to be talking about, the most challenging time of my life, I would say, I think this was my first experience where I felt like, oh, this is like, people really go through things. This is definitely the hardest time. So I'm again, new to the YouTube, trying to, you don't want to expose certain things in terms of other people. Of course, I will never say names or anything like that, but I'm trying to navigate how I'm going to, just be real and honest, so that, somebody may be going through the same thing and may resonate with this, and, may be about to go into whatever the case may be. So one thing I will learn is everything happens for a reason. I would say another thing that I learned is your relationship with God. Oh my goodness. It is it is, I just don't know how I would have gotten through this challenging season without God. Like, that was my right hand man. Like, there was no way around it. Like, we were like this. We were tight. And we had to be in order for me to go through that season. And I felt like it felt like that type of time where it's like, of course you have loved ones. But when it's just you at night, and it just feels like you and God is just like, man, thank God for this relationship. It's crazy because it's this being that you've never seen in person. And I don't even think I don't even want to see that, because that would scare me. I'm being honest, but this is being that you believe in, that you pray to, that you talk to, that's guiding you, and you've never seen them. And I don't even want to call it them. I don't know what to say, but I would say that relationship was the most important in that time. And first, I would say, just to kind of give you a gist of what the challenging season was. So for me, I come from the Caribbean. My family is Haitian and Guyanese. I'm from America, but my family's from Haiti and Guyana. And so marriage is very important within the culture. Now, I do have friends who are Caribbean where their parents are kind of like, it's not that serious, like finish school first and then do that. But for the most part, marriage is pretty up there. And so definitely kind of feeling like having that pressure of, this is something that you need to do, like you need to get married. Majority of my family, they are married like by their mid-20s. And so I've always had this expectation in my head, like, all right, well, we, finished school, got a career, next is the husband. And so in this season of my life, I was ready to get married, I met the person. And when I say ready to get married, I mean like everything is good to go, venues paid, invitations are out, people booked hotels, they're ready to fly in for this grand wedding, and then there's no wedding. And so I think in that moment, one thing that I realized is, in terms of, and again, we're talking about that relationship with God, it was more so like, okay, first of all, you didn't even ask me about this union. And so it's crazy how you say you have faith in God, you trust God, you go to church, or you may listen to sermons online and you say you have this faith. But looking at my life, I'm like, wait, I was about to make a big decision and I didn't even consult the very being that, put a vision and mission on my life. Like that is not to look back. I mean, while you're in the moment, of course, you're like, oh, okay, well, I was so happy that I felt like happiness equated to God's acceptance, meaning like, okay, I'm good. So that must mean that this is what God wants. And that was not the case. And so just really learning that, one, if God is your source, then if you're making big decisions, you need to consult him. So that was one. I would say another thing is just understanding that, one, you can have plans for your life. And I think in a sense, like, plans are good because they help you have some type of direction. It allows you to stay on track with, you're not like all over the place. You're like, okay, this is my goal. This is my plan. This is how I'm going to get to that goal. But I feel like when it came to marriage, I idolized it so much in the sense that it was like, no matter what God wants me to do, this is my main goal. So my main goal was marriage. So yes, you may want me to be doing X, Y, and Z in the season, but I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get my man first, and then I'm going to get to whatever you want me to do. And so it's crazy because, of course I'm going to talk more about it, but at the age of 21, I'm in my late 20s now. At the age of 21, it was put on my heart to become a foster parent. And so every time I would start the process of becoming a foster parent, I would meet someone. It's so crazy how it happens. I would be like, about to reach out to the agency, online filling out the paperwork so that I can become a foster parent. And then I'll meet someone. And I would always say in my head, all right, God, I'm going to get to that. But I met someone. Like, I'm not about to commit to taking care of a child and I'm about to probably meet someone and be married. Because again, that's the number one goal. And so it's so interesting because this happened in terms of my thoughts of being a foster parent happened in my early 20s. So I remember I dated a guy at the time and I had told him, I was like, hey, it's really on my heart to be a foster parent. And he was like, okay, cool. Well, I don't really want to do all that right now. So maybe later. And I was like, okay, fair enough. And he believed I ditched it. I was like, oh yeah, okay, well, I'll just do that later in time. Relationship crumbled. Okay. Then the next time I'm back on my feet, I'm like, all right, well, I'm about to start this process again, filling out the paperwork, calling my friends and family, hey, can you be my reference so I could be a foster parent? Then I meet someone and I'm like, okay, well, let me put this to the side. I'm about to, this could be my potential person. End up getting far, falling in love, planning the wedding, doing all the things. And then, of course, I put foster care to the side. Now with this person, I made sure I was like, hey, is this something that you would be willing to do? Is it something that, you would want to do? And he was like, yeah, like I'm open to doing that. I still want biological kids, but I'm open to that. So I was like, okay, cool. So, that'll be later. Crumbled. So I say all that to say that I feel like for me in that season of life, like I put what I wanted for myself before what God wanted and didn't consult him on those things. Meaning I didn't pray about like, hey, God, it's not like God is saying like, you're never going to be married. It's just that, it's just not within my timing. So I would say that was definitely challenging for me in my season to see like those relationships crumble because it's like, this is what I want to do. I want to become a wife. I want to be a mother. Now for me, motherhood, I'm open to biological kids, foster kids, adopted kids. So my sense of motherhood is probably a little different than other women. Because some women may feel like having biological children is the way. And for me, there's many ways. So, but always wanted to be a wife. And so I think that just made me really step back and say, okay, what is it that you want me to do? Who is it that you want me to be? And I think also another thing is, and what does that person look like that you want me to be with? Because I feel like coming from a home where I do see a positive example of marriage, where I do see my cousins who are married, who have positive relationships with their husbands, and uncles and aunts who have positive relationships, for some reason, it's a bit of a challenge for me. It's been very much of a challenge. And so one thing that I've identified is I have not a lack of discernment, but I don't trust my discernment. So just to give you an example, you can see something that, I feel like in any relationship, I've always had red flags, right? Or signs, they like to call it. And so with those signs, I realize that I will see them. I will know something's off, but I will question it. So I'll be like, oh, well, maybe this is that way because maybe this happened when they were younger, or maybe I'm looking too into it, or, just finding a way to give someone so much grace. And so I think and I'm not talking about any specific relationship I'm just talking in general about like my relationships in my 20s and just how it's like, okay, you got to call it what it is. Yes, it's good to give people grace, but the reason why I ended up being in such a dark season was because I did not trust my discernment. There were things that I saw that I knew, hey, these are red flags. I saw those things, but I didn't trust it. So 1, not trusting my discernment. 2, not consulting God about what my decision is and thinking that, oh, okay, well, this is what I'm supposed to do because I'm happy. No. So that's one. I would say another was, just kind of putting his mission and vision to the side and focusing on what I want to do. Now, granted, I want to be a foster parent. Like, I cannot wait until the day where I get my license and I open up my home to be a foster parent. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited for that. So I'm not saying that that's not what I wanted to do. It was just like, this might be a little bit before that. So that put me in a challenging season because, again, if you have this goal of, it's everyone around you and your family is married, you have the pressure of marriage growing up, you're almost at the finish line, and then things don't work out because, you didn't do those things. You didn't trust your discernment. You didn't talk to God. You didn't wait until you were able to see adversity. And I kind of talked about this in the first episode and saying how, everyone is pretty nice when things are going well. And so you have to wait. For me, at least, I'm not giving anyone advice, but I'm just saying for me, I had to wait until I saw challenges first before identifying like, okay, this is my person. Because it's like when things are going great, especially in the beginning, you have the honeymoon phase and all that greatness. But then what happens when adversity hits? What happens when you have challenges in your life? You can be introduced to a whole different person when those things happen. And so I would say definitely really understanding character and like not only when the person's happy, what happens when shit hits the roof. Like that is how I'm able to identify, okay, this is this person's character. And I think also another thing for me is I realize that when I do get in relationships, I kind of wither away in a sense, meaning like all the things that I'm focused on kind of get tossed. So I'm low key that girl, like definitely not hanging out with the friends as much. Can't make the brunch. Definitely, because at the time I was starting, I was still had a nonprofit organization. Not really doing too much with the nonprofit. I mean, kind of doing things here and there, but not really like putting my all in it. So all those, like my sense of individuality is being withered away because I'm so focused on this relationship. I'm so focused on this thing. So I feel like that definitely, and it's crazy because we're supposed to be talking about the worst season of our life, but this is a part of it. And so just starting to see how in a relationship, I just changed. And so I'm happy though. I think I'm happy. You think you're happy until you're not. And then you're like, wow, like I really didn't hang out with my friends. I really didn't, all the things that I love to do. If they weren't a part of that, then I didn't really do it. So, okay, maybe we both like to work out. Like that part is still intact, but what about the things that he may not be involved in? That kind of went away. So just really, withering away from that. And then when that person's no longer there, then you feel like you're like rebuilding yourself back up. Like you're like putting your life back together. And it's like, wow, I kind of lost myself. And so with this year that I'm in this year, it's so personal. When people talk on Instagram and say 2024 is so personal, like this year is so personal for me because I feel like I'm rebuilding, but with different bricks though. Like I'm such a different person. I'm such a stronger woman. I'm so proud of how far I've come. But even with rebuilding the nonprofit organization, that is just like, because that was something that was put on my heart that this nonprofit is gonna bring so much impact to Prince George's County and then beyond in the future. And so building that again is just kind of like, okay, she's back, like she's ready to go. And so, just being in that season and just also understanding that just how, you have a strong relationship with God and just how, you can't always put the blame on other people. I think you also do have to extend a certain level of grace because at the end of the day, like that's God's child too. Even though that person might have pissed you off or whatever the case may be, like that's somebody's child. Everyone does things for a certain reason that you may not even know. There could have been something that happened so long ago that you're not even aware of. And so although you don't need to give people the grace in the terms of like, hey, you can still be in my life and we could work. No, I'm not saying work it out unless you're called to do that. But I'm saying you have to give grace in the sense of you know, I may not understand why things happened the way that they did, but there's some things that I may not even be aware of. And so I think that was just a part of that season. But when I tell you, I am so happy that I'm out of it. That was the deepest, darkest place I've ever been in. My friends will be reaching out to me. They'll be calling me. I would like literally look at the phone and not even pick up. I was a realtor. I still have my license, but I was not really into it. I typically post about real estate and do all the things, but I just literally everything that I would do, I was just kind of like a robot. I wasn't Brie. I wasn't Brianna. So it was definitely a really, really hard place. And again, just starting a year off with like the intentions on, you know, being married. And then of course, not only do your friends and family know, but you put it on social media and then it doesn't happen. And you know, you're also like feeling like, okay, yeah, I'm still young, but I feel like, you know, I am getting older. I had in my head this life that I was about to have, and I felt like it was taken away from me because life happened and, you know, we weren't on the same page. And so I think that really put me in a really, really, really dark place. And I know during this hard time, I would pray, and I literally was like, God, don't change my heart posture. I'm really upset right now. I'm very hurt right now. Things didn't go the way that I wanted them to go. But at the end of the day, like, I still want to love. I still want to have a beautiful marriage one day. I still want to be an amazing wife. I still want to be an amazing mom and create such a safe haven. But don't change my heart. I don't want to become bitter from this. I really do after this want to become better. I want to be like, I thought I was a good partner then. Like now, wow, she's even better. Like I just want to be better. And so although, you know, I was very hurt, and of course sometimes you're like, man, oh, you know, you say all the things, but it's like, no, I don't want to be like crushed by this. Like, I'm hurt by this. I don't want to be crushed by this. And so that was kind of what I went through in that season. It was just very quiet. I know in the beginning it was just, I mean, I would literally go out for a walk or run, and I'm so thankful that I at least did that. I would come home and I would just sleep. And so just to see me like back to start a YouTube channel, to get back with the nonprofit, to get back on social media, to get back with friends, to get back to networking, it's just like, thank God. I'm so thankful. And this in no means, because of course I can't control who watches this and who doesn't. This in no means is to bash anyone or to speak negative on anyone. There's always two sides to stories. You know, somebody else may have a different opinion on how things went. This is my side of the story, and this is the challenge that I face. And I don't think this is really, really bashing anyone. This is just talking about the darkest season of my life and how things didn't work out how I wanted them to. And I think also with this, like, I have another level of grace for myself, because I feel like I really was hard on myself. Like, you know, how could you go through another failed relationship again? Like, how were you not able to identify certain things, and how did you get here again? And so it's like, okay, I feel like in these 20s, you've been attracting, just talking to myself, like I've been attracting the same type of person. And so now I gotta look at myself, because the common denominator in those relationships was me. So what is it about me that what's happening? And so I realized if you don't learn the lesson, it's just gonna keep coming. It's just gonna keep coming until you get it. And so now I know, wait and learn about someone's character. I'm not saying you gotta be with someone for 5 years before you marry them, but at least give it 6 months to identify whether or not this is a good partner for you. You know, trust your discernment. That's why you have it. Trust it. You don't have to question why you think something feels off. Something's off. Consulting God. If God is your source, you need to be consulting him. And I would say for me, just even in the dating phase, like, is this who I'm supposed to be with? Like, what is reveal? Reveal reveal, please. So consulting God, I would say, still keeping my individuality. And so, yes, I want to be all in the relationship, but I'm going to still hang out with my friends. I'm still going to go and do the things I love and still be Brianna and invite you into my life. I want to be invited into your life. And so I would say those would be the main things. And then if I had to do not if I had to, because I will be doing it again, because I'm telling you, I'm going after everything I felt like I lost. I'm getting that family, that healthy family, okay? But if I had to, and you know what? I wouldn't even go back in time because I've learned so much. I feel like this experience has made me a better mom. I feel like in the future, I'm able to give them a lot of life lessons that I've learned. I feel like it's making me a better wife because when I tell you I am going to appreciate the hell out of whoever God has for me, oh my God, whew, he's blessed. He's blessed. I feel like I'm a better mom and wife from this. I feel like I'm a better Brianna from this because it also showed me like, girl, you can do anything. That's so embarrassing. It was so embarrassing for me, like having a whole wedding plan and then it doesn't happen. What? And this is not no like little wedding. You know, it's a big wedding. You know, my family does not play with the celebrations. And so that was really challenging, but just knowing like it's his timing at the end of the day. But also, you know, try not to beat yourself up. That I definitely beat myself up and like, you know, how do we do this again? And why didn't you trust your discernment? All these different things. But at the end of the day, everything happens how it's supposed to happen. This was already written. This was not a surprise from God. Like I wasn't like, oh my God, this happened. Like it was already said and done. So I'm just thankful that I'm here. I'm thankful that I've gotten to the point where I am so filled with joy. Of course, there are moments where I do feel sad for sure. Now, not lately, I've been feeling good, but you know, you'll get spurts where you're like, okay, I'm really, really good. And then you're like, oh my God, I don't feel good. But I'm just thankful that God kept me. And even on the other end, of course, that there's another person on the other side of that relationship and genuinely wish them well. Like not even the shady wish them well, like pray that they get everything that they want in their life and that, you know, at the end of the day, they want a family too. And I pray that they get that as well. And just on both ends, like we're both God's children. Like we're both humans. We are both flawed humans. I'm not perfect. He's not perfect. And I pray that we get everything that we deserve. I pray that we get everything that's in his will. So again, this is not a video to bash anybody. I mean, who knows? It might just be random strangers watching this. But, you know, I think that is just what I've learned. And again, I'm just sharing this because somebody might be going through the same thing. And so, yeah, that was a gist of the season. I would say what helped me turn to becoming a better season was a podcast. So I watched the Dear Future Wifey podcast that helped me so much. Running and working out definitely helps me. I will say sermons. I love Pastor Keon Henderson with the Lighthouse Church. So I like him a lot. Union Church in Maryland with, who's that? Pastor, oh my gosh, Stephen Chandler. Yes, so both really great churches. So I would say sermons helped me when I eventually started getting out, that was so healing. Like going out to eat with a friend, oh my gosh, it's just like, you don't even have to talk about what you're going through, but just to be out, just to eat. I love to eat. And be in good company is so healing. I also did therapy as well, which was really helpful too, to just work through things and just in God. So that's kind of how I got out of just that really dark season. But again, the woman that I am today, she is so strong. She can do anything. She can really do anything. And of course, I'm giving you the bits and pieces. So if you're watching this, I'm like, girl, that don't even sound that bad. I am, as I progress in this YouTube world, of course, you know, it doesn't mean, I don't have to tell everything, but just kind of giving you like lessons that I've learned in the darkest season of my life. But I am, again, thankful. I am praising God in advance for just, life is not only about a romantic relationship. I'm praying for amazing impact in the foster care and anti-trafficking space. I'm praying that I'm an amazing foster mom, biological mom, if that's what God calls, adoptive mom, if that's what God calls me to do, amazing wife, amazing leader, or just amazing person in general. And I know that I'm forever evolving, and there's so much more for me to learn in this life. But that is a spill on my darkest season of my life. Thank God I'm out of it again. Thank God. And, I'm just thankful for my tribe. I'm thankful for everyone that supported me, everyone who prayed for me. And there's just so much more on my journey. But I just wanted to talk about that phase and some of the things that I experienced. And yeah, so thank you for tuning in. Please like, comment, and subscribe. This is Brianna Thazard's Journey, and we are going to be having an episode every Sunday. So have a great week.